Hello, this is Scrap Artisan. This is an instruction on how to make appliques from your old existing clothes. You can make appliques or patches from almost any kind of fabric. If you have school-age boys or you repair your own garments, this may be a good thing to know. First of all, you need a fabric. You don't need to buy something new. If you have an old dress which has cute flower prints or nice patterns, you can use them. You can also use solid color fabric and cut it out in the shape you like.
The first thing you need to do is to cut a piece of fabric and attach it to the glue side of the embroidery stabilizer, which has to be comfortably larger than the fabric itself. Because the function of the embroidery stabilizer is to move a small piece of fabric easily and prevents the edge of the flimsy fabric from being pulled inside of the sewing machine while sewing. There are many different types of embroidery stabilizers, but for this project, I found out that the fusible iron-on tearaway stabilizer works the best. I was using a different type first, but it didn't work well. The stitch width is around 3 for this project, and the length to the minimum, which is slightly above 0. Let's start sewing. First, drop the needle on the stabilizer and right outside of the fabric and start zigzagging. The needle should hit just outside and inside of the fabric alternately to stitch around the perimeter of the applique. To see the needle movement and the moving direction clearly, I recommend using an open-toe foot, which you can buy for around $10. Start slowly and make sure that needle is zigzagging correctly. When you come to a convex curve or clockwise curve or a right curve, stop when the needle is on the stabilizer side and pivot the piece of fabric with stabilizer slightly to the left or counterclockwise. Depending on the size of the curve, you may have to keep pivoting every 10 stitches or 5 stitches or 3 stitches in order to sew around the curve. This is because it is difficult to sew sharp curves with a sewing machine, and you also don't want to see thread gaps between the zigzags. When you come to a concave or counterclockwise or left curve, stop when the needle is on the fabric side and pivot the fabric glued on stabilizer slightly to the right or clockwise. This curve sewing maneuver may sound a little confusing at the beginning, but you will find out that it is easier to do than you think. After a few practices, you can do this instinctively. And if the curve is large and you're comfortable, you can sew around the curve without stopping. Just keep sewing until the stitches go all around the fabric and come back to the beginning. This last small curved section shows how the perimeter zigzags work clearly. Notice that when I pivot while the needle is on the stabilizer, the zigzag stitches inside of the fabric slightly overlap. At the end, overlap the stitches a bit and remove the project from the sewing machine. This is the applique I've just sewed. Cut off the threads at the base. You can clearly see the stitch holes on the stabilizer around the fabric. The applique can be torn off from the stabilizer easily. The glued stabilizer on the back of the fabric will stay and keep providing the strength to the applique. Here we go. The applique finally emerged. And the last step is to attach a piece of fusible iron-on adhesive on the back of the applique. This can be omitted if you sew the applique onto another fabric, but it is convenient if you can attach appliques without sewing. And even if you sew it onto another fabric, the iron-on adhesive can keep the applique right at the place while sewing. I recommend hand stitching around the perimeter of the applique onto the fabric anyway, even if you use the iron-on adhesive, particularly if the applique has fingers or tentacle-like design, because those kinds of parts tend to come off easily. When you use iron-on adhesive, make sure to use the protective sheet like a teflon sheet. Once the glue is set on the iron board or on the iron, it is really difficult to take that off. Wait until the glue cools down and set, and cut around applique with scissors. Now it's done. When you are ready to attach the applique onto another fabric, peel off the white backing sheet, facing the glue side to the fabric, and activate the glue by heating with an iron from the back of the fabric. Please leave your comment about this video or let me know about your recycling project. Your comments will encourage me to post more instructions. Thank you for watching.